to one channel. Today is going to be a state of the collection video because I acquired so many watches, spent too much money on watches that I thought maybe I should share my disease, my watch disease, my watch virus with you. So without further ado, let's start with the only Casio I have in the collection. I reviewed this on the channel. It's the Casio Oak, the G-Shock GA2110ET8AER. Just a wonderful name, way too long, but I had my eye on a Casio Oak before because I thought this Gerald Genta-esque design paired with the reliability of a G-Shock is just an awesome idea. And I wanted to have a digital watch in my collection, but with the more analog design. It has this LCD display. It's a positive display I really like because it's way more legible than the negative one. And but it has the analog display of the time as well, so it looks like a regular watch, if you know what I mean. It has the day indicator, has some lume, which is not the strongest, unfortunately, only on the hands, and a lot of functions. It's not too bulky, nice on the wrist. Just a second. So with my 7-inch wrist, 17.8 centimeters circumference, I can totally wear this piece. I also like the buckle, that it is this gray design and not this silver optic. So yeah, really like this piece. And it only had a production time of 2 or 3 months, at least what I found on G-Shock Central. So maybe this is going to be collectible, who knows. Moving on, let's go to my Seiko part of the collection. I don't really count them anymore. It's just special. If you have the Seiko buck in your collection, you cannot stop actually buying more of them because they're simply too good for the money, at least in my opinion. Here we have the SNXS 73K1, an automatic piece that is also I refer to at the poor man's Datejust or day date. It has this sporty yet elegant look, and let me tell you, this bracelet is actually pretty nice. First, I didn't like stamped bracelet at all. I thought they are just cheap and not nice to wear, but actually they're very nice to wear. I don't care about whether it's stamped or milled anymore, as long as it is comfortable on the wrist. And this one is. The lume is outstanding. Check out my review on this watch. It has a day date function. It has this nice sunburst effect dial, which is for the money, just amazing. And on my 7-inch wrist with this, I think it's 30.8, 37.5 millimeter diameter. Can totally wear it. It's rather thick, but it's comfortable to wear and definitely a keeper in the collection. I had it twice. This is the second time. I have sold it once, and I really think this time it's going to say exhibition case back. Very nice. So let's move on in the Seiko part of the collection. Another watch that I sold and bought again. This is the third time I think I have a SKX. This time, the first time, a 009. What should I say about the watch that hasn't been already told? There's nothing to say for me. It has a nice, pretty good bezel action. This one I was lucky, it's pretty much lined up, everything. There's a common problem with those Seikos, that they have misalignment issues. And I've bought this bracelet after I've bought this watch on the rubber strap. The rubber is way too stiff and not very nice, but this Jubilee style bracelet is very, very comfortable. Of course it's jingly, rattly, but it's just comfortable. As I said, I don't care about whether it's stamped or not. At least it is comfortable, and in my opinion, it's solid enough. And on the 7-inch wrist, you can totally wear this. So moving on to the next, of course, Seiko. This is a watch I think I'm going to sell. I don't know. I really like the the look of the turtle, but on the other hand, I parted with every turtle I had. I had the SRPD 21, and I had the what was it called? The Blue Lagoon limited edition, and this one is the SRPE 07, the King Turtle, as many call it, of the Save the Ocean series. It's a special edition, and the dial is amazing. It has a ceramic bezel inlay. You can see the tip of the shark, the fin on the 8 o'clock position. It has this fake or faux patina, which looks actually pretty nice because it's not only on the hands and indices, but also on the bezel, which is just it's a matching look. The execution is just marvelous. Also for the price point, the rubber is very nice and soft, but unfortunately it does magnet. The hardware is also pretty solid. Let me put it on my 7-inch wrist. I think it's pretty big, even though the lug to lug distance isn't that big, but it is a large watch. I mean, but it looks nice. I'm not sure whether I keep it or I will sell it. Who knows what happens next? And the next Seiko. So you see, I'm a Seiko maniac. Here we have two. We can present them together. Two Sumos. In my opinion, Seiko's best kept secret. It's not a secret, but at least on YouTube, the Sumo watches don't seem that popular as other watches of the Seiko series, but I think this is the best value for money. This is really Seiko in my opinion. Here we have the SBDC 033. It's discontinued, also referred as the Blumo. Had the 6R15 movement with almost 50 hours of power reserve, so very useful. Nice bezel action, great lume, large indices, signed crown. I have this on an aftermarket NATO, looks just awesome. And here we have the SPB 1003, the Hulk, but it's not similar, the green compared to the Rolex Hulk. It's more a forest green, a dark green, very nice. Looks more elegant because of the smaller indices, the different font on the bezel, and the overall appeal. I think it's a little bit more elegant. Unfortunately, no used crown anymore. But I mean, look at the execution on these watches. I really like actually the older model a little bit more because the brushed element here is a little bit larger than here. But overall, the bracelet nice. Let me put this at least on my wrist, 7-inch wrist. Quite large watch, 45 millimeters, but amazing bezel action on the new one with sapphire crystal, unlike the old one. Very nice. Great watches for the money. Actually, not only for the money, simply great watches. So let me put them back and let's continue. My latest edition, the Maurice Lacroix Aikon. Of course, everyone is going to say, well, it's an homage watch to the Royal Oak and blah, blah, blah. Man, going through the history of integrated bracelets, you see Gerald Genta was working for different companies, for Patek Philippe, for Audemars Piguet. Look at Gay Frère, bracelet making company. I mean, it's just a way of making watches with integrated bracelets. It's not necessarily an homage. Of course, it takes inspiration from those watches. Definitely, you cannot deny it. But somehow it also does its own thing. And actually, I don't care. Simply don't care because the quality is outstanding. For the price point, you get one of the best watches out there. I think the Clou de Paris face dial is just amazing. The Salida movement isn't that bad at all. The winding action isn't that bad. And also, I mean, just a little attention to detail. Just let me screw that one in. And you see, you can really get this Maurice logo just in a nice position. If you have OCD, this is just perfect for you. The bracelet is of nice quality. The movement is nicely decorated. Of course, it's not an in-house, it's a Salida, but it's decorated. And it even has, look at this perlage work here. It has the M logo here. It has quick adjust. you can push those buttons and then you can exchange the bracelet, and even here are small M's signed on it. And the fit of the bracelet, for a bracelet without any micro adjustment, I was simply lucky, maybe with the half links that are delivered here, to get a perfect fit, and the shine and everything. It's a beautiful watch. Not too thick, actually way under 13 millimeters, so it's sporty yet elegant, can be worn on a tight cuff. Definitely a piece to buy. Moving on to the even more expensive side of the watches. Let's go to Tudor. I really love the Tudor Black Bay series, and when I had the Speedmaster, I always wanted. Actually, I was undecided between a Speedmaster and a Black Bay, and I went for the Speedmaster, which I saw recently, or last year, I think. And finally, I found a used of those ETA versions with the smiley face, and I simply had to pull the trigger. This came on the leather strap with the deployment buckle, which is very nice. Unfortunately, I didn't buy the bracelet. It was just a mistake. Always buy a watch with bracelet, but this is another topic. And I went for this one because it's true to the Tudor idea, delivering Rolex quality for less money, because using not an in-house movement but an ETA movement. This is just like the original idea. And what I like about this one compared to the modern ones, I'm going to present the chronograph in a second, is that it's not too high, because the case back doesn't protrude, so it's nice on the wrist. And the bezel action, listen to that, this is simply as good as it gets. And the best thing about it, it somehow has the resistance over the 12 o'clock marker, so you won't miss it. And yeah, the red, it was the first one introduced in 2012. It was a rebirth, I think, of the entire Tudor brand. It has this sign crown with, I don't know whether it is painted, the rose, unlike the 58 versions or the more modern versions. This, I think, is way cooler. And with this rose gold, it simply looks amazing. And on the NATO, let me put it on the wrist. It's just very comfortable. And it's maybe a watch that stops me from getting into the whole vintage thing, because it looks vintage, but it has modern quality. So very, very nice, this piece. And moving on to another Tudor, we have the Black Bay chronograph. This is, I think, Tudor's best kept secret, because it wasn't that popular and now it's discontinued. And there's a new model, of course, it's slimmer and blah, 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 blah. But it also looks like a toy and a little bit like a wannabe Daytona. And I think this one is cool, of course. It's also similar to the old steel Daytona, but a Daytona is more, in my opinion, almost a lady's watch. It's very delicate. If you put it on the wrist, I had it on the wrist a couple of years ago at an auction, and this one is really solid. It's more a competitor to like Breitling's, but I think a little bit more refined racing chronograph, and a beautiful watch. I almost sold it, but I think this time I will stick to the Chrono. I mean, selling the Speedy probably money-wise was a mistake last year, but who knows what will happen with this piece. But at this point, it's going to stay at my collection. So, last but not least, the most expensive watch I've added to my collection. Maybe it's FOMO, fear of missing out, but finally I did it. Here is the Rolex. The Rolex Air-King, this 40 millimeter. This comes in this Milgauss case, and it's my first Rolex. And if you haven't watched the unboxing video, the first thing that came to my mind, it's a watch. Not more, not less, it's simply a watch. And this is actually quite somehow a good feeling. It's also just a watch that you wear on your wrist. No matter how much it costs, it's just a watch. And actually, it's about whether you like it or not. And to be honest, 50% I would say about this watch, why I've bought it, is because I simply like the look of it, and that it is not the typical Rolex, which is also strange as an argument to buy something that's not the typical kind of the brand. Why are you considering the brand anyway? But it's not all rational. And the other 50% is just because of the brand, because of the history behind it. The funny thing that it is a German founder that was born in a city that is close to my father's birthplace. And also what he achieved, and the prestige, the perfect marketing and everything behind it. It's just, I mean, creating something out of nothing with a name that is more or less an invention, because something to sound good in different European languages, Rolex, and he made it one of the most popular and most expensive brands in the world. And this is something I appreciate. And I love this model. And maybe a little factor is whether it's going up in price or not. Maybe it's going to be discontinued next year, who knows. And I hope that I don't lose that much money on this one if I sell it in a couple of years. Maybe I just keep it. I don't know yet. But I tell you, I really like this piece. But maybe just one point. The crown is not pointing up. They can do it, Rolex, with precious metals. They also do it. But here, they don't do it. It's something I don't understand. This is the question of attention to detail they have with Maurice Lacroix, which Rolex isn't willing to deliver. But this is the way they do it. Yeah, guys, what do you think of my collection? What should go? What should I add to my collection? I'm curious to hear your opinions. Thank you very much for watching.